Right, this plane is one of my favourites because no matter how you make it, you can experiment with different parts of the plane to change how it flies. It's also a pretty good flyer even upside down, and sometimes you can get this plane to do some really cool tricks and stunts. So this is called the Boomerang. The reason we call it the Boomerang is because this type of plane, we can design and trim some of those folds to come back to us, and so we can make it do some pretty cool loops, and we can keep it up in the air for a really long time. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to get our A4 80 GSM piece of paper. I'm using a nice purple colour today. We're going to start by folding it in half lengthways. Now making sure that that nice middle line along the plane is nice and neat and pressed down. You can use your finger, sometimes you can use the edge of a pencil or a ruler. Is a really good tool to make sure our creases are nice and crispy. We're going to fold, the next step is to get the top of the plane, fold the top corners in. Now this is probably pretty familiar to you. We've done this sort of fold across lots of different paper planes, and a lot of planes start like this, but this is where it gets a bit different. We're going to look at this kind of looks like the roof of a house, doesn't it? Nice pointy shape there. The edge of that roof, what we're going to do is fold that in, and I'll do my fold first to show you what it looks like. That top edge in so that it's starting to become very pointy. You'll know that that edge is right because it's going up and down the middle of the plane. Doing both sides, you start to see a very pointy dart shape. And this is where we can see a lot of that weight going into the front of the plane, into the nose of the plane. Now, like every good plane, there's a twist and a turn here, and so we're going to start changing the shape of this plane. Instead of being long and pointy, we're going to fold that weight of the nose back. Getting this point, that nice sharp point there, and folding back just to where these two lines intersect, will give us this shape here. Now making sure that it's nice and neat and pressing down all that other folds so that it's nice and flat. Looks a little bit like, I guess you can say it looks a little bit like a penguin. And then you sort of got that little beak shape. So when you're about ready to do your next fold, look at all of that beak shape and fold your plane in half with that beak shape on the inside. So we're starting to get this nice, lovely paper plane shape. Now every plane needs a good wing, and so what we're going to do now is fold our wing. Now, the most important part is getting the angle of this wing right. We want to start our fold, remember when we're folding a wing down, we're making a crease, start the crease halfway up the nose, we're going to finish about a third of the way up the back. So folding that wing down, nice and neat, pressing down really hard, you can see that I've got a nice crease in my wing, an angle going upwards towards the back of the plane. This helps to make sure the angle of attack, the angle of the plane into the wind, is at the right angle to get maximum lift. Now this plane is a really good one for that. If you want to experiment with different angles of your wings, go ahead, because you get different behaviour. Sometimes your planes will have entirely different flight paths and maybe even fly upside down. So I'm going to do my other wing. The good thing about the second wing is if you've done the first one, you get the second one for free because you can just match up those two wings. Now, really, really, really important. People ask paper pilots like us all the time, what's the best thing that you can do to make a great paper plane? When you look at your wings, we need to make sure our wings are pointing upwards. A lot of people do what we call trivia wings, like a trivia night, right? They fold their wings down like that. And although there's some planes that have these wings pointed down, what we want to make sure is that ours are pointing up. This is called the dihedral angle. If you look at the plane from behind, it's kind of a Y shape, which is a really important shape because it helps us stabilize the plane as it flies. If you imagine the plane rolling, even at that point there where it's rolling to the side, it can correct itself, which is really cool and important. Next step, we need to think about the edge of the wings. Now, we're going to use something called a winglet, but this one's going to point down. I'm going to fold a very, very small edge downwards off the edge of my wing. And if you look at it from behind, that's the shape of that winglet. Now, looking at my plane here, I've made sure that my wings are symmetrical. I've got that Y shape and I'm ready to fly. Brilliant.